Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate it. I really do. Thank you so much. Right now, I wonder how many of you, and if I could have just a little bit of house light on this, it wouldn't hurt. How many of you has got one of those little CB radios? Would you raise up your hand? Well, a mess of you. You gonna know what I'm talking about, and the rest of the folks probably won't. But we've got one of them little CB radios in our bus, because old Charlie just kept on talking about we just had to have one. And I said, how come we got to have a CB radio? He said, it'll help me stay awake when it's my time to drive. He said, I can talk with them fellas in the 18-wheelers and I can kind of stay awake. But I found out later that ain't really what he needed with that radio. He needed to watch out for the police with that radio. And something else I learned about them CB radios is that after you own one of them for a couple of weeks, you learn a whole new language. You don't talk American no more. You mostly talk in numbers. And one night I went up there to sit and listen to old Charlie talking on that thing. And I've never heard so many 10-4 and 73rds on you and mercy sakes and hoops in my life. I couldn't more figure out what that boy's talking about. Nothing. And I'll tell you something else. They use handles. They don't use their right name. And so if they get caught and the police do happen to hear them, they won't be in no trouble. Do you know what Charlie uses? Cotton top. I went up there one night. We hadn't had that thing too long, and old Charlie was putting it on with somebody. And about the time I picked up the conversation, I found out he is talking to the Alabama Wild Man. And the Alabama Wild Man come in there, mercy sakes, Cotton Top. He said, what's your 20 right now? Cotton Top said, I'm at the 119-mile marker. Alabama Wild Man said, 10-4. He said, I got your back door. He said, boy, don't you worry about nothing. Cotton Top come back and said, 10-4 on the back door. And I'm standing there scratching my head. We ain't even got a back door on that bus. In a little while, somebody else comes in on that radio, coming the other way, meeting us on the other 4-lane. And he's coming down through there, and he's hollering at all of them going northbound. And he's asking for a break. He said, all you northbounders, he said, there's a Smoky Bear at the 134, and he's taking pictures and taking up green stamps. He said, right on up above him, you got a Tijuana taxi doing flip-flops. He said, so back 'em on down. He said, now 73rds on you. He said, this is the Golly Whumping Gully Jumper, southbound and down. I said, Charlie, what in the world's going on? He said, they just kind of warned me. I said, they're warning you about the police, ain't they? He said, well, we don't call them polices. He said, we call them Smoky Bears. Well, we're cruising on up the road there. He's talking to the Alabama Wild Man behind him and the Tupelo Flash up in front of him. And the Tupelo Flash is calling back every now and then, checking out where old Charlie is and telling old Charlie, this is a Tupelo Flash and I got your front door. He said, bring it on, boy. He said, it's clean all the way. He said, put the metal on the pedal, put the hammer down. And old Charlie's got the hammer down. We are what is known as sitting in the rocking chair. Now, when you in the rocking chair, you ain't got to worry about nothing. Because the Tupelo Flash is watching out in the front. And the Alabama Wild Man's watching out in the back. And you just sit there in that seat and do 100 if you can. We're cruising along there doing about that. And somehow or other, the Tupelo Flash kind of gets way ahead, you know. And he gets a couple of ramps in between Cotton Top and him. And guess what's sitting up on one of them ramps? with his picture-taking machine on. And we don't see him because we ain't looking for him. Two below flash is watching out for us. We're cruising along there. All at once, old Charlie looked down in that rear view mirror. He ain't come along up beside of us, had that bubble gum machine on top of that thing that's the door. Pulled on around, started pointing toward the curb. Old Charlie pulled that big old bus over, and that big old Smokey Bear just kind of hung his head out the window. He said, "Come on up here, boy, I don't get out." Old Charlie went up there. Charlie went up there and got in the front seat of that police car and got his driver's license out. Old police sitting there with his little book in his hand, you know. And, you know, we the one got the CB radios. They ain't supposed to have none. All at once we found out he done broke the rules and did. And come blaring over that radio in that police car. Said, "Hey, how about you, Cotton Top?" Said, "How about that, Cotton Top? You got your ears on?" Said, "This is Alabama Wild Man." Old police just reached up there and took that little old microphone off, handed it over there to old Charlie, said, "I believe this is for you." Old Charlie's supposed to be a Christian. Said, "Ain't none of me." Old Smokey Bear said, "Oh, come on, Cotton Top." He said, "Why don't you tell the Alabama Wild Man you done got your foot caught in a bear trap up there?" And that's a fact with my hand up.